Very good evening and welcome to Primetime News here on TV1. You're joining me, Devi Paldano. Now, before we head into your stories in more detail, let's first take a look at your headlines this evening. 14 people killed and 33 injured in an accident in Passara. Officer of the Sri Lanka Air Force dies during an air exercise in Ampara. Warning from the President to media institutions.
මේක වැරදියට පාවිච්චි කරන්න ආවොත් ඒකටත් මම නීති තියෙනවා කරන්න පුළුවන් ක්‍රම තියෙනවා ඒවා මම ක්‍රියාත්මක කරනවා.
Government the V Force embarks on a tree planting program at the Singaraja Forest Reserve. 6 MOUs signed between Sri Lanka and Bangladesh. Now, starting off our bulletin on a somber note, 14 people died in an accident where a bus fell off a precipice along the 13th mile post along the Badulla Passara road.
मैं तुआला कर एक पाउस मैं हिमी दिखान मैं उड़ी काटी आई कर करने की अन्नको
अयो मना सेंड फा
The injured were rescued with the support of the Army, Sri Lanka Police and area residents. This is the bus that met with the ill-fated tragedy. The accident took place at around 7:15 this morning while the bus was en route to Colombo from Lunugala. The accident was captured on CCTV cameras. The group of injured passengers, including children, were brought to the Passara hospital. According to police, 33 people were injured in the accident while the driver is in critical condition. A person was stuck in the driver's seat. He was taken out from there. He was already dead. It was reported that the driver had passed away. But we have now received reports that this person was not the driver of the bus. The driver of the bus is currently in critical condition. The driver is a 53-year-old resident of Lunugala. 13 women, 15 men and 5 children are among the injured. 4 of the injured in critical condition are receiving treatment at the intensive care unit. According to area residents, a rock that had fallen across the road was another reason for the accident. I asked the contractors to remove this stone as soon as possible. They could not remove this in time. I believe that the obstruction to the road caused by this rock was the reason for this accident. This is a double bend and we conducted an investigation at the site. We came to the conclusion that the driver lost control of the vehicle. We will conduct a technical assessment, but that will take some time as the bus has been seriously damaged. The driver has been neglecting his duties. Under the Motor Traffic Act, it is the duty of the driver to prevent the occurrence of accidents. About 30 accidents of similar nature were reported. We received constant reports of passenger transport buses travelling at excessive speeds. We have reported a number of statements with regard to the accident. The bodies of the deceased will be subject to a post-mortem examination. Also, for a period of a month from today, vehicles will be checked constantly.
According to our correspondent, authorities will not be able to remove the bus today. According to police, a technical assessment of the accident will be carried out.
An officer of the Sri Lanka Air Force was killed when his parachute got entangled with the parachute of another airman during an air exercise today.
The two airmen involved were immediately rushed to the Ampara General Hospital, where squadron leader Manoj Padmatilaka was ruled dead by hospital staff. The media director of Sri Lanka Air Force said between 7:30 and 7:45 am today, a parachute entanglement involving two parachutes took place approximately between 40 to 70 feet due to a sudden change in the wind direction. Squadron leader Manoj Padmatilaka, a resident of Polgolla, Kandy, passed away in the accident. Squadron leader Manoj Padmatilaka was a product of the General Sir John Kotalawala Defence University and joined the Sri Lanka Air Force in 2008. He was a past pupil of Vidyartha College, Kandy. Sergeant P.A.K.C. Abekon, the other airman, is currently receiving treatment at the ICU of the Ampara General Hospital. Air Force Commander Air Marshal Sudarshana Patirana has appointed a committee to investigate the tragedy.
Now in another one of your headline-making stories, the 15th phase of the Gama Samaga Pilisandara program was held in Valapane in Norelia today.
The event was held under the auspices of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa.
දැන් හුඟක් අය අපිට බයිනවා පරිසරය නාස්ති කරනවා කියලා. අපි ආදරේ පරිසරයට. මම කවදාකවත් පරිසරය විනාශ කළා නැහැ. ගම්මානවල ඉන්න ජනතාව පරිසරය විනාශ කරන්නේ නැහැ.
Many people are blaming us that we are destroying the environment. I have never destroyed the environment. The people living in these villages also do not destroy the environment. I have a good understanding on how to live in harmony with the environment. After the war, Colombo was a concrete jungle filled with garbage. As the secretary to the Urban Development Authority during the time of President Mahinda Rajapaksa, I converted the city of Colombo and its suburbs into green cities. I planted many trees, created parks, protected wetlands, created reservoirs. I created wetland parks in Colombo, Kotte and Piliandala and Kasbava. I made systems to control floodwaters and removed garbage from the environment and created spaces where people could live in. The garbage dump that was close to the Independence Square was converted to what it is today. I planted nar trees along that road. All of the trees that have now grown close to the Parliamentary complex are the trees that I planted. Now they are accusing the people who developed this environment of environmental destruction. I haven't seen any of these people who are scolding me doing any projects for the environment. I saw a massive mural erected at the Vihara Mahadevi Park. That is not how you protect the environment. That will destroy the environment. I stopped the erecting of billboards in Colombo. This is not what environmental organizations must do to protect the environment. As a person who has done this practically, I have a good understanding about this and I know about the environment. If there is a need for a road to be constructed in a village, we must construct that road. Otherwise, how are the people going to live in that village? While I was on my way, I spoke with children of rural villages and they have no proper roads to go to school. It is useless if we just speak about protecting the environment from Colombo without first helping our people live. The indigenous community of Sri Lanka live in the forest for many years. Now they are asked not to live in forests.
පරිසරය ගැන කතා කරාට වැඩක් නැහැනේ. ජනතාව අපි ජීවත් කරවන්න නැතුව ආදිවාසීන් අවුරුදු ගාණක් කැලේ ජීවත් වුණා. දැන් මේ මිනිසුන්ට කැලේ ඉන්න එපා කියනවා. ඒදී ඊයේ මීතිරිගල ආරණ්‍ය සේනාසනේ. ඒ හාමුදුරුවෝ ඇවිල්ලා ඇඬුවා.
Yesterday, a venerable Thero from the Mitirigala Aranya Sena Sanaya came and cried while he told me that he is being bothered by the wildlife department. 3 cases have been filed against him. Even Lord Buddha has asked us to meditate in the forest, but they are not even allowed to do that. The venerable Theros do not destroy the forest. They have been living there for a long time. We have a wildlife department, we have a forest conservation department, and we have a Ministry of Environment. All of these institutions are meant to help the people live and not to bother them. If the number of crimes against our environment have increased, we need to stop that. We need to protect our forests, our environment and our rivers. The people must be given the opportunity to live. When I went on these programs to villagers and spoke with them, the Venerable Theros told me that the lands of the people have been forcibly taken over and now they are not allowed to cultivate on those lands. So I made a policy decision and informed the wildlife authorities about it. The boundaries of these forests have been marked using Google Maps, and this is not practical. Many people are against this. So when people are bringing these concerns to me as the president, am I to act as if I cannot hear them? I must give them an answer. I must give them a solution. The statements I made to that effect are being twisted to say that I gave permission to cut down forests. I did not give permission to cut down the forests. Today in the papers I saw that the daughter of one of the MPs in the opposition who are crying out against ecocide had been gifted a plot of land from the Hantana Forest Reserve. When these innocent villagers are given these lands, they are saying that the environment is being destroyed, but when those sort of things happen in the Hantana Forest Reserve, everyone is silent. These are funny media institutions and journalists. Freedom of the media does not mean the freedom of the person who owns the media institution. If we are running the country the way the owners of media institutions want us to, then it would be a mafia. We don't have kings in our country.
පුදුම මාධ්‍ය කට්ටියනේ ඉන්නේ මාධ්‍ය ආයතන. දැන් ආම්දුරනේ මාධ්‍ය නිදහස කියන්නේ මාධ්‍ය ආයතනයේ අයිති මිනිහගේ නිදහස නෙවෙයිනේ. මාධ්‍ය නිදහස කියන්නේ ඒක නෙවෙයි. එතකොට ඒක මාෆියාවක්. මාධ්‍ය අයිතිකාරයට ඕන විදියට රට දුවන්න හදනවා නම් ඒක මාෆියාවක්. ඒකයි වෙන්නේ. අපේ රටේ රජවරුත් නැහැ මහරජාලත් නැහැ. මහරජාලා හිටියේ ඉන්දියාවේ. මේ මාෆියා රට රජයවල් පාලකයෝ පාලනය කරන්න හදනවා. ඒව මාත් එක්ක බෑ. මම දන්නවා ඒවට පාඩම් ගන්නන්න ඕන නම් උගන්නන විදියත් මම දන්නවා.
The kings were there in India. Although these mafias try to control the governments, they cannot do that with me. I know how to teach them a lesson and I know how to do it as well. I have given media freedom. I governed the country for 14 months and have not once influenced a media institution. But if they try to use this freedom in a wrong way, I know how to respond with the law. I will implement it. Some of these media institutions had published false stories that kumbuk trees had been cut down. I looked into who had done this. These are the media institutions that worked against us during the war. It is a group of the same people who have crept into this and are now spreading false stories. Look at what happened during the last 5 years. A landmass of 77 acres had been cleared illegally in Kurunagala. 258 acres had been cleared in Putlam between 2015 and 2019. 100 acres in Monoragala, 42 acres in Ratnapura, and 224 acres in Anuradhapura. Here are the details. No one cried about these and no one was made to cry about these, and nobody even saw these during that time. They had already created the governments that they wanted. It's almost as if people started to cut down forests the moment I came into power. False propaganda are being spread among the people to deceive the people. Do not believe them. When a government that loves our heritage, our nationality, and has a policy to protect our national interests, the government is attacked to destroy all of this. You must be careful of these. What did they do in 2015 after Mahinda Rajapaksa ended the war and brought about massive development in the country? They spread false propaganda and defeated him. But what happened during the past 5 years? Now, another wave of false propaganda is being spread by JVP environmentalists. Now they post on Facebook saying the Singharaja forest is dead. Another tree has been cut down. But they post an image of a picture in Odisha, India, where a tree was cut down. The pictures that they post on social media of environmental destruction in Ududumbara are not even pictures from Sri Lanka. You can clearly see that these pictures are not from Sri Lanka as soon as you look at them. These are some pictures from foreign countries that have been posted saying that it is the destruction taking place in Ududumbara. Anyone could clearly see that those are not pictures that have been taken in Sri Lanka. They continue to lie and deceive the people.
උඩුදුම්බර වන විනාශය කියලා ඡායාරූපයක් දාලා තියෙනවා. ඒක මේ රටේවත් නෙමෙයි. මේක දැක්ක ගමන් කියත හැකි මේ රටේ නෙමෙයි කියලා. මේක වේරා ක්‍රටෝචිවිල් කියන වෙබ් අඩවියක් ගෙනියන කාන්තාවකගේ පොතු කුරුමිනියන්ගේ හානි හේතුවෙන් ගස් කැපීමෙන් පසු අනාන්තරයකට අත්වී ඇති ඉරණම විසින් මේ නිරූපණය කරපු ඒ පිටරටක පින්තූරයක් දාලා උඩුදුම්බර වන විනාශය කියලා දානවා. ඒ වගේ මේ දිගටම තියෙනවා මේ බොරු මේවා මුලා කරන ජනතාව.
මේ වෙලාවේදී බණ කියකින්ද වෙලාව.
This is not the time to preach to the general public. I sometimes wonder if we have preached too much to the general public, because the more people gain knowledge about these trees, the more they destroy them. People need to have a heart. People need to believe that the environment must be protected. They must be motivated to do this. We don't need to wait till circulars come out and take ages to do this. Look at the young strength displayed here together with the Gammadda movement. I would like to propose something. Upon the birth of a child, plant a tree. Every time a child is born, plant a tree. If this is done, the child who is born into this world is not in debt to the air that he breathes. We are breathing today because of the trees in this forest. The world and countries like America are looking at Sri Lanka and drooling because of the Singaraja forest. Because of the biodiversity here. These must be protected. The rivers and streams must be loved. The people must think from their hearts when it comes to these matters. A program that protects the animals and the trees needs to be implemented. You all know that I represent the clergy, and as Theros, we have a duty to protect this country, its culture and generations to come. The issue is that people who breathe because of the Singaraja forest do not understand the value of it.
මේ උස්ම ගන්න මිනිස්සු අපේ දරුවෝ අපේකම වටිනාකම හඳුනන්නේ නැති එකයි අපේ කරුමේ.
The Surya Kanda Kandamuduna Singharaja Aranya Senadipati Venerable Damanwane Chandananand Thera expressed these views during the tree planting program organized by Gammadda V-Force in the area surrounding the Surya Kanda Kandamuduna Singharaja Aranya Senasana in Ratnapura. Young leaders from across the island who understand the importance of protecting the environment in the present day attended this tree planting program together with Gammadda V-Force. Saplings that are suitable to be grown in this area were planted at 3 locations in the area surrounding the Surya Kanda Kandamudana Singharaja Aranya Senasana in Ratnapura. Tree saplings obtained from the Udawalawe Wildlife Office were planted at these locations. Environmental organizations, civil activists, volunteers, university lecturers, state employees, police officers attached to the Godakavela police and residents of a number of villages situated in close proximity also joined this program. Meanwhile, young Bhagya Abhiratna, who recently voiced her strong concern against the ongoing environmental destruction in the country, was also present at the event.
It is our generation that should think about a better tomorrow, and there is no tomorrow without our environment. Our future depends on our environment, and it is our responsibility to strengthen this relationship. There are no political preferences, racial, communal or cultural differences when it comes to our environment. Do we think about our differences when we drink water?
අපි හුස්ම ගද්දි අපි වතුර බොද්දි අපිට පාට පක්ෂ කුල මල ભેද නැහැ.
The chairman of the Surakimu Sri Lanka organization, Venerable Pahiyangala Anandasagara Thera, also joined the program.
We put in great effort to protect our forests. We recently planted 2,500 saplings together with the youngsters in the Rakwana area. We commend Sirasa Gammadda for this great endeavor.
These saplings that were planted today with good intentions will no doubt become large trees that will in the future replenish the air that we breathe.
Protests organized by locals were staged in Valsapugala, Madavachia and Mahiyanganaya today, demanding solutions for their problems.
The Satyagraha campaign, staged by farmers in Valsapugala, Hambantota, entered its 63rd day today. These farmers demand that the proposed Wild Elephant Management Reserve be gazetted. 86 agrarian organizations, including the Walava Left Bank Joint Union, has pledged their support to this endeavor. The Satyagraha campaign, staged by the farmers in Mahiyanganaya, supporting the farmers in Valsapugala, entered its 4th consecutive day today. 37 farmers' organizations have pledged their support for the movement. They demand a permanent solution for the aggravating human-elephant conflict in several areas in Mahiyanganaya. The country's food supply can only be strengthened by supporting the farming community. It's pointless when leaders give orders from the top. How can the citizens of this country survive without the paddy we cultivate? State officers in charge of this subject have not come forward to provide a solution to this crisis.
The Satyagraha campaign, staged in Madhavatiya demanding a scientific solution to be provided to the human-elephant conflict, enters its 2nd day today. The protest is organized by the Movement to Protect Humans and Elephants and the All Ceylon Agrarian Federation.
So far, a lot of crops in this area have been damaged. As of now, within this month, there were 8 losses of human life. We request the authorities to provide a permanent solution to this issue.
Now, with the aim of providing a practical solution, the National Symposium on the Human-Elephant Conflict in Sri Lanka, a seminar titled Lessons Learnt during 2000 and 2020, was organized by the Centre for Environmental Justice yesterday at Water's Edge in Battaramulla.
The event took place with the participation of wildlife experts and researchers of the subject.
If you look at the loss of human life due to the human-elephant conflict, the numbers have steadily gone up and up. And in 2019, we reached 121 deaths per year, the first time that 100 deaths were exceeded. This year already, in just 70 days, more than 66 elephant deaths have been recorded. Currently, there are about 4,500 kilometers of electric fencing put in by the Wildlife Department, and they are due to put in another 1,500 kilometers of fencing. I said most of these fences have elephants on both sides, and about 60% of these fences are between Forest Department and Wildlife Department. If we put up a fence inside the forest, we are going to divide elephant home ranges. If you deny an animal has a home range in order to obtain what is required for its survival. Now, if you cut down the home range by half by putting an electric fence through it, that animal cannot survive. So it has to find new resources. And where would it find new resources? In developed areas.
If we in Sri Lanka are really trying to minimize the conflict and coexist with elephants, we seem to be trying to satisfy our agricultural self-sufficiency with low productivity, high extent of land, rather than coming up with an approach of high productivity, use of low extent of land. So if we start using our land more intelligently and we start using technology and trying to improve the productivity of land, maybe we won't be needing to deforest at the rate we are doing today. Local people understand and acknowledge the fact that deforestation affects them. Human-elephant conflict increases if there is deforestation. So when governments say that we are giving land, we are deforesting land to give it out to people, local people know they are getting into more trouble by getting that land. It is more for large-scale development that is being done in the guise of local people.
During Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa's visit, 6 memorandums of understanding were signed between Sri Lanka and Bangladesh.
Official discussions between Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa and Prime Minister of Bangladesh Sheikh Hasina were held this morning. According to the Prime Minister's office, MOUs pertaining to strengthening youth development, agriculture research, sharing professional knowledge, health and nursing staff training, international cooperation studies, as well as an exchange cultural program from 2021 to 2025 were signed. The Prime Minister of Bangladesh has expressed confidence that the stock of medical equipment required to control the pandemic will be sent to Sri Lanka in the near future under the SARC COVID-19 Emergency Fund. She also focused on the proposal to create an economy unique to the region as regional economic cooperation grows. Improving the technical cooperation between the central banks of the two countries was also discussed. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa has invited the Prime Minister of Bangladesh to visit Sri Lanka next year when both countries celebrate 50 years of diplomatic relations in 2022. The Prime Minister also paid a visit to the Bangabandhu Memorial Museum in Bangladesh. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa attended a dinner last night presented by the Prime Minister of Bangladesh. The Minister of Education, Professor G.L. Piris, who is joining the tour, met with the Governor of the Central Bank of Bangladesh yesterday. State Minister Ajit Niwad Cabral was also present at the occasion.
Police media spokesperson, attorney-at-law DIG Ajit Rohana said the Indian national involved in an incident where Buddha statues were vandalized has been presented to court.
Based on the information received thus far, we cannot determine whether this is part of any conspiracy. We are currently analyzing the statements given by the individuals and the evidence we have gathered so far, along with electronic equipment that had been used. We can only comment on this matter after the investigation is complete. According to the suspect, he is living here on visa. However, we have already requested a report in this regard from the Department of Immigration and Immigration.
Is the suspect an Indian national? A similar incident was reported before the April attacks, and the man connected to that incident was also identified as Thomas. However, he was released because he suffered from some form of medical or mental condition. Will it be the same for this matter? Is it a special investigation that is being carried out?
Yes, a special investigation is being carried out. We will first obtain all the required information from the Department of Immigration and Immigration. The data we have gathered must then be analyzed. Hopefully, we could disclose this information to the media after the analysis is complete.
We must look into this matter. There is room for foreign intelligence services to carry out operations in the country. The security forces must closely monitor these events. It is because our government is in power that the Indian national was arrested. If not for our government, we would have failed to identify those responsible for vandalizing the statues.
රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ එවකට අගමැතිවරයාගේ ඉන්දියානු සංචාරයට
Former President Maithripala Sirisena revealed this matter at a cabinet meeting 2 days before former Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe left for India. The former Prime Minister visited India to continue with the discussions on the East Container Terminal of the Colombo port and the potential sale to India's Adani Group. During the cabinet meeting, the former president revealed of a conspiracy to assassinate him. He claimed that it was India's raw intelligence service that was involved in the conspiracy. A few days later, an individual identified as Thomas was arrested in Colombo and produced in court. Subsequently, the suspect was released on the grounds that he had a mental condition. He was deported thereafter. The April attacks took place thereafter. This is why we are concerned about this matter. So against a backdrop where such discussions had taken place and investigations had not been carried out, the recent incident where an Indian national was arrested on suspicion of being connected to the vandalizing of statues is not something that should be ignored. Such incidents reveal that there is some form of intervention from India in our country. The government should not ignore this matter and let go of such individuals. The government must investigate this further and determine whether they are linked to any foreign intelligence services. We are yet to identify the masterminds behind the April attacks. It seems that the present government does not have any intention to do so. Against such a backdrop, Sri Lanka's national security is in danger. In our view, these are incidents that tarnish our country's national security.
අතරතුරේ මේවත් ජාතික ආරක්ෂාව පළුදු වීමේ යම් යම් සිදුවීම් හැටියට තමයි අපි දකින්නේ.
Transparency International Sri Lanka has welcomed the decision made by Sri Lankan Airlines to sue the company Airbus SE for $1 billion in damages, loss of reputation, reimbursement of cost and interest. Sri Lankan Airlines has also called for the cancellation of the purchase agreement for the 4 A350-900 Airbus aircraft and the return of the advance payment of $19 million paid for the aircraft.
The move by Sri Lankan Airlines follows information revealed through a deferred prosecution agreement between the Serious Fraud Office, UK and Airbus SE in relation to the bribing of public officials by Airbus SE in several countries including Sri Lanka. In a statement, Transparency International Sri Lanka said it had constantly been advocating for action by the Sri Lankan authorities to hold to account those responsible for the significant losses inflicted on the Sri Lankan public through this incident, amounting to at least $98 million. This money alone could have been used to import around 24.5 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines when the country is under severe financial stress in a pandemic-stricken economy. Commending the legal action taken, TISL called upon the government to take action against the implicated individuals domestically and expedite the development of a proceeds of crime law.
The Global Climate Action to Stop Ecocide was held on the 19th of March 2021, which is directed at showcasing the devastating affecting the island in fact, and address the concept of ecocide, which needs to be immediately stopped.
The Wildlife and Nature Protection Society Youth Wing and 5 other organizations reiterated that a written and sealed permission was obtained for the mural as well as the subsequent climate action from the Mayor of the Colombo Municipal Council, the police as well as the Chief Medical Officer of the CMC. They further went on to note that this awareness event is strictly apolitical and we want to make it clear that we do not endorse any individuals or parties who are involved with political parties who may have attended the event. However, Colombo's Environmental Police Chief Roshan Rajapaksa elaborated on the reason for removing the mural at the Viharamadevi Park.
We appreciate their opinion. We are not trying to deny it. We don't allow posters to be pasted at the Colombo town. The president halted such activities during his stint as defense secretary. He didn't do it during the elections as well. He loves the environment. That is why Colombo is beautiful.
කොළඹ නගරේ මෙච්චර ලස්සනට තියෙන්නේ. දැන් බලන්න එවැනි පරිසරය ගැන මෙහෙම කතිකාවක් හරි ඇවිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ. මේ අපේ රජය ආවට පස්සේනේ. දැන් බලන්න කලින් මොරගහ කන්ද හැදුවා.
Several trees were cut down when the Murugahakanda reservoir was constructed. But today, a tree cannot be cut down in a garden. That is good. We find no fault with it. We are requesting them to seek the permission of the police when constructing murals.
මේක පොලිසිය අවසරය ලබාගෙන සිදු කරන්න කියලා මම ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා.
ඔබට පේනවා ඇති මේ ලණු වලින් ගස්.
You can see that the trees have been tied using ropes. This is a beautiful park in Colombo. They are damaging the environment while protesting to protect it. The trees have been tugged to a side. This has exerted pressure on the environment. The permission of the police must be sought while erecting a massive temporary structure in a public area. Officials informed me that permission had not been obtained for this.
The United Kingdom High Court has quashed the judgment of the Westminster Magistrates Court against former Minister Councillor of Defence of the Sri Lanka High Commission in London, Major General Priyanka Fernando.
Issuing a media release, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs said the High Court decided in favour of Major General Fernando and quashed his conviction by the Westminster Magistrates Court on 6 December 2019 and acquitted him. The defendants, who are demonstrators who staged protests opposite the Sri Lanka High Commission in London on Sri Lanka's 70th Independence Day on 4th February 2018, have been ordered to pay costs to Major General Fernando. According to the Foreign Ministry, the UK High Court rejected the arguments of the defendants and, accepting the arguments on behalf of Major General Fernando, upheld the traditional views on diplomatic immunity as contained in the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations of 1961, to which both Sri Lanka and the UK are state parties. The UK High Court further said that the doctrine of diplomatic immunity affords protection to all diplomatic staff in the UK in exchange for the equivalent protection afforded to the UK's diplomatic staff abroad. The High Court judges also decided that the Chief Magistrate of the Westminster Magistrates Court was not right in her determination that Major General Fernando was not covered by residual immunity when he faced trial at the Westminster Magistrates Court.
The Centenary Movement, an initiative aimed at seeking and creating an academy to groom young leaders who are keen, capable and passionate at actively leading the potential strategic transformation in the country, held a press briefing in Colombo today.
The movement will establish an academy that will focus on key political and socio-economic themes. The curriculum will focus on 6 key thematic policies. These are education and skills development, agriculture and environment, governance, diversity and inclusion, economy, health and well-being.
How much longer can you wait and hope that we will see a refined vision, a clear strategy, people with absolutely strong morals and values? How much longer are we going to wait? We have looked at everybody we can. We have hoped for the best in many leaders, in many parties, and many structures, and we don't think we can wait any longer. And if we continue to wait, how much more damage will the nation be? And if not you, that's the question, is because if you don't see out there those who say they're in the establishment, those who say they're in leadership, then you and I have to start becoming the change for the nation of the democracy. We are not going to wait any longer. We are saying, we're not perfect, we have a lot to learn, but we are willing to be held accountable.
If we develop the economy and we destroy the environment, then there's no point. If we preserve the environment but our farmers can't grow food, then there's no point. If we eat the wrong food and our health is destroyed, then there's no point. So what you as young leaders will have to do is look at all of these different policy areas and connect them. So if you are working in one policy area, talk to someone from the other policy areas and see how, if I'm talking about this economic development, how does that affect the land? If we preserve the land, how does that affect the farmer? If we preserve the farmer, how does that affect the economy again? You have to continually be thinking about these things, because I think the pandemic especially has shown us economy and health are not two different things. Your policy and your government and your health are not two different things.
Now moving on to international news, Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan tested positive for COVID-19 today.
Pakistani Health Minister Faisal Sultan confirmed this on Twitter. He tweeted saying that the Prime Minister is self-isolating at home. This comes 2 days after Prime Minister Khan received his first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. PM's office tweeted on the 18th of March, and I quote, Prime Minister Imran Khan was vaccinated today. On the occasion, he appealed to the nation to ensure full implementation of SOPs in view of the third wave of the pandemic, unquote.
And with that, we wrap up primetime news here on TV1. For more news, log on to our award-winning website, that is www.newsfirst.lk. For the Newsfirst team, on Devi Paldano. Take care.